Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Trading Table. This is Andrew. Joined with me is Landon, and today we're going to be going over some of the biggest movers of the market, what to watch for tomorrow, and more. Looking at our heat map here for the S&P 500. Yeah, today was a pretty bad day for the market. Definitely pulled back quite a bit. Red across all the large caps on the board. Mid caps were relatively green, and I think small caps did okay as well. Besides the small caps in the tech sector. I mean, the whole tech sector just absolutely had a terrible, terrible day. One of the worst I've seen in a while, actually. So, yeah, market definitely pulled back. AMD was finally, you remember we guys were talking about AMD. AMD was finally back at like 180. Yeah, we're going to be taking a look at AMD later. Just keep in mind that we were looking at it when it was at 180. But yeah, if we look at SPY's chart here, right, just major downtrend all day. And I mean, look at this gap down from, the transition from aftermarket to pre-market, just absolutely insane. So yeah, definitely SPY's seen better days, but you know what? If anything, this pullback is just supporting new highs. Because remember, we need to pull back to reach a healthier high. So this 565 area seemed to give SPY a little bit of trouble. Couldn't really break and stay above. So I think we're going to maybe pull back down to maybe even 554 or 552 before we see some upward momentum back to the upside and break that 565 level and stay above it. If we look at SPY's 1 month chart here, we could see, right, we pull back, new high, and this time we pulled back super, super far. So just be wary, right? We could pull even lower. There's nothing really giving me evidence that it'll go up, as a lot of stocks are kind of weakening right now. And I was talking about that on Sunday as well, that in our weekly outlook video, if any of you guys watched that, I was talking about how, some stocks are reaching their top and we could see the market start to weaken a little bit before it gets stronger. Remember, it always gets worse before it gets better, right? So with SPY, we've just been super, super bullish. We had a pullback on the 11th of July, right? Super strong pullback. And then we kind of just made our way back up, bounced off that 565 area a little bit or around it, and it looks like we're now downtrending again. This very well could bounce and keep continuing, but let's just not fight the trends, right? If you're trading and you're looking at SPY and it's already super red on the day, or we're in an Apple biased market, so if Apple's super red on the day, probably not the smartest idea to enter calls in something that's heavily weighted by the S&P 500, right? That's kind of just common sense. So just be aware about that when you're trading. But looking at our first stock for today, right? Remember I was talking about AMD just now. AMD is at 160, which is just insane. This is actually absurd. We went from 177 all the way here to close price of, a little bit lower, about, wow, 159. That is over a 10% move in literally a day. That is actually absurd. This is one of the craziest sell-offs I've seen in quite a while from the market, because we've been so bullish lately. I feel like there hasn't been like a lot of huge dives, but this is just a death spiral down, right? That honestly makes me think that it kind of loses my trust in AMD a little bit, that it could just do that. I mean, if you're holding this long term and you woke up this morning and saw that, I think I would actually close my account. So AMD definitely not the most reliable stock. I mean, everyone already knew that, right? But yeah, if you're looking to hold AMD for the long term, I'd probably advise against it, right? We are kind of making our way back up in aftermarket just a little bit from like close. But yeah, as you can see, NVIDIA also had a terrible day, right? Down 6%. Not as bad as AMD, but yeah, if you're looking at my watch list on the right-hand side of the screen here, red, right? Everything's just red. Even China stocks were red. PDD's down to 131, which is just insane. So the market could definitely be pulling back here. But remember, we were talking about crypto miners yesterday, and I'm sure Landon will touch on this later in the video. But yeah, we're honestly very, very high up there right now with the crypto miners. Not really in relation to its all-time, but for maybe a 1 month to a perhaps 3 month period, we're definitely up pretty high right now with these crypto miners. So, watch for a continuation of that. It's been a while since I've seen Riot and Mara at these levels with crypto being this low, right? When we were at 70,000 on crypto, we were only really touching the 1150 area. And now we're at, 64,000 and we're touching the 12. So that could be a good sign if crypto keeps going up, which I honestly believe it will be. Super bullish on crypto right now. A lot of people bought that dip. There was a lot of good volume to the upside. So yeah, crypto's doing great right now. But jump into Landon now for some of our big money plays for today.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Our first big money play, it's for ticker symbol MRVL. And this play is actually a put option contract, strike of 70, expiration of 8/16/2024, total premium count of 630K, and a total volume of 2K. And this was called at around 11:20 a.m. And I mean, this was a really good play. We saw it move down, not a lot, but quite a good amount. So there was some profit seen there, and congratulations to everyone that was able to get in that play. If you guys want plays like this, again, they're called in our Discord for free. But moving on to our next one, we have for ticker symbol WDC. And this one was actually a call option contract, strike of 77.5. Expiration of 8/16/2024, total premium count of 785K, and total volume of 4K. And this was actually called pretty late. This was called at like 3:10. So it wasn't a whole lot going on here. The stock was kind of chopping out towards the end of the day. We did see kind of a move downwards, but nothing too worrisome. We do have a little bit of duration on these contracts, not a lot. But if big money is saying, this is bound to like rebound as a stock as a whole, then this could be a pretty good buy-in as we are, super low right now, in consideration to recent times. But moving on to our final big money play of the day, it's actually for ticker symbol IREN. And this one's actually interesting because yesterday we had a big money play come in at the end of market close as a call. And I mean, look at that movement to start the day. We had a crazy jump upwards. And then, it kind of went back down to its original levels and then continued to downtrend following the market. But now at the end of market, we got another big money play that's actually the opposite, with even more money. So the play is a put option contract, strike of 10, expiration of 1/16/2026, and a total premium count of 3.03 million. That's a lot of money. And a total volume of 9K. So the data there is very strong in support of it moving downwards. But duration very long. So it's a little tricky because me and Andrew are very bullish on the energy sector, but it seems big money starting to kind of flip their position here. Um, Maybe we could see a potential, reversal here in the long run, but I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. But moving on to there, I know Andrew kind of touched on it a little bit. Actually, going to move on to crypto miners. First one being Riot. And again, like I said, continued to go up. We saw it actually touch 13. That hasn't been touched in a few months. Really nice to see that. But the last time we saw the EMA 13 and EMA 50 cross, um, Riot did end up touching 18. So, I'm definitely looking to see Riot hit 18 again here shortly. Maybe in the next week or so, week or two. Um, Maybe give it a little bit of time. But same thing with Mara. The last time Mara crossed in terms of the EMA 13 and EMA 50, the last two times it touched 30. Yeah, so I'm looking to see Mara get up to the 30 level as well. But yeah, definitely bullish in terms of crypto miners at this moment. And crypto, Bitcoin, all that, moving very nicely, which is also a positive. But one final thing I actually want to touch on was, and I know Andrew kind of looked at it in terms of AMD, but the the semiconductors sort of sector, chip stocks like NVIDIA, TSM, and ASML. I mean, they've been soaring this year, but today was like it crashed and burned. So, in terms of NVIDIA, there's actually a reason NVIDIA crashed today. And that's because Biden is actually considering implementing more of a severe, I guess you could call it restrictions on them being able to sell to China, which, you know, hurts their business overall. And then on the flip side, Trump actually had comments on ASML and TSM, which hurt their stock, saying if he became president again, he was gonna, make Taiwan kind of pay for protection. Um, so that's why we saw a significant drop in terms of TSM and ASML. But other than that, back to you, Andrew.
Yeah, these chip stocks are kind of getting a little bit scary, but listen, this industry has so much money and brings the S&P 500 and the US economy so much revenue that, it's honestly pretty unlikely that this will, if like the president wants to pass a bill, it'll pass through Congress, okay? Because this honestly holds our economy up, like tech holds our economy up, right? And, you get rid of semiconductors and you start imposing taxes and whatnot, and you make Taiwan, aka the biggest semiconductor producing country in the world, start, paying for protection. It kind of just, it'll get pretty messy there. So I doubt that'll happen. It's just, there's a saying, and that's buy the rumor and sell the news. Okay. So when the news comes out, right, do with that what you will. Okay. So once again, we have a really packed earnings week. ASML actually reported before open today, so that could also contribute to why they were down. But TSM reports before open on Thursday, so it could get pretty interesting for semiconductors there. I'm long term in SMH, and TSM definitely affects SMH, so I'm hoping for a good earnings report. But it is what it is. Time in the market beats timing in the market, so all good there. Johnson & Johnson also reported before open today. They did pretty well today, up 3%. But other than that, before open, right, we got TSM. That's about it for that day. A lot of just random stuff. I mean, Domino's Pizza, if any of you, whatever. And then after close, we do have Netflix reporting. So honestly, if I was to take a wild guess, TSM to the moon. Okay, that's what I really want to see. After close today on Wednesday, we had UAL report. Looks like it's going mid for them. So, UAL, right, where they're only up 0.59% in the aftermarket, and they kind of missed their revenue, beat their EPS. But, yeah, we're going to take a look now at our economic calendar for the rest of the week. So looking at our economic calendar, right, so we had crude oil inventories at 10:30 today. I saw oil actually doing pretty good today. So, yeah, crude oil came out pretty nicely. But for tomorrow, we got jobless claims and then the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index. Both these, I doubt they're going to affect the market that much. But just keep an eye on it, right? It's at 8:30, so you'll see it before you even start trading. But they definitely could bring some volatility if the numbers come in hot. Oh, another thing I really want to go, or I wanted to go over real quick, was the VIX is at 14.47 right now, which is honestly pretty high for this time frame. The last time we saw like a level of like around 14 was the beginning of June and the end of May. So yeah, just keep an eye on the VIX so you know what the volatility is going to be like. It's very, very useful tool that I take a look at every day, right? If the VIX is super high, maybe I'll trade later into the afternoon than I normally do because there's more volatility to trade. As options traders, volatility is our friend. So unless, you're like a swing trader and you trade like very slow trickling growth. But for day traders, volatility is good and is our friend. But that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning to the trading table. This has been Andrew and Landon, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at market close.